Now here's the solutions to the Chapter 2 short answer questions. The first one is find the gradient of the line that passes through the points -1, 6 and 2, 10. So in order to find the gradient, we need to have our equation m equals y2 minus y1 over x2, take x1. Let's identify x1 and x2. x1, we look at our two x values, x1 is the smallest, almost negative. Make the other one x2. y1 lives with x1, y2 lives with x2. Now we substitute the values into the equation, so m will be equal to y2 is 10, take away y1 is 6 over x2 is 2, take away x1 is -1. 10 takes 6 is 4 over 2, take away -1. The take away negative becomes a plus, so that will be 4 over 3, and that's the gradient. So that's the first one done. Next question that we have is to find the equation of the line that passes through the point -2, 6, and it's parallel to the line y equals -3x plus 4. Now the information that we can get from this line that's parallel to is the gradient. M is equal to -3. So we can now plug that into our equation, y equals mx plus c. But m is equal to -3, so y will be equal to -3x plus c. Next thing we need to do is we'll plug in our x and y coordinates, which come from here. So they need to come in. So 6 will be equal to -3 by -2 plus c. Or 6 is equal to -3 by -2 is +6 plus c. We'll take away 6 from both sides, which gives us c will be equal to 0. And in that way we end up with the equation y equals -3x. For this next question, it's finding the equation of the line that passes through the point -2, 6 and is parallel to the x-axis. Now, if something is parallel to the x-axis, that tells us that the gradient is going to be equal to 0. So, if we try to substitute that into our equation, we have y equals mx plus c. M is equal to 0, so y will be equal to 0x plus c. 0x is just not there. 0 times anything is 0. So y will be equal to c. And from our coordinates up here, we have a y coordinate of 6. So with an equation like this, y is not going to change, so y will have to equal 6. It'll just be a horizontal line that passes through +6 on the y-axis. That's what it'll look like. That's our equation. Now for the next one, we're finding the equation of the line that passes through the point -2, 6 and is perpendicular to the line y equals -3x plus 4. So to look for firstly to look for the gradient of the line that we're after, m2 equals -1 over m1. m1 is -3 from here, so that'll equal -1 over -3, which just equals a third. So that's the gradient that we need. Next thing we need to do is we'll substitute that into our equation. So we go y equals mx plus c. Y is equal to a third x plus c. What we now need to do is substitute our coordinates into the equation. So 6 will equal 1/3 of negative 2 plus c, or 6 will equal negative 2/3 plus c. That will mean if we add 2/3 to both sides, that c will equal 6 and 2/3, or that's 20/3. So therefore our equation becomes y equals 1/3 of x plus 20/3. Next question is have us do sketch some graphs. The first one is y is equal to 2x plus 8. So from this we get firstly our gradient, m equals rise over run, turned into a fraction, so we've got 2/1, and we also have our y-intercept is equal to 8, or the coordinates for that would be 0 and 8. So we need to draw some axes here. The graph is going to pass through positive 8. Has a gradient of 2/1, so it goes up 2 and across 1. So it's going to be a reasonably steep sort of graph. Should be a straight line too. If you're doing it in your book, a ruler might be handy, or something a bit straighter than this. If we want to work out what our x-intercept is going to be, what we do is we make our y-coordinate equal to 0, and we'll substitute that into the equation. So we have y equals 2x plus 8, but y is equal to 0, so 0 is equal to 2x plus 8. Take away 8 from both sides, so negative 8 will equal 2x. Then divide both sides by 4, we have negative 4 is equal to x. So that tells us that we have coordinate here for our x-intercept is negative 4 and 0. And our y-coordinate will be 0 and positive 8. Looks like a negative there, I'll get rid of that again. 0 and positive 8. That's a sketch graph for that one. Next one that we're going to be sketching the graph of is y equals negative x plus 10. So again, from our equation we've got negative x, or m, will equal negative 1. As a fraction, that's negative 1/1 for rise over run. And our y-intercept is plus 10. Which in coordinate form will be 0 and 10. So our graph is going to go down 1 and across 1. So let's draw some axes here. Lucky there are no sketches. We're going to pass through positive 10, and we go down 1 for every one that we go across. So that's going to pass through here at 0 and 10. And you should be able to work out if it's going down 1 for every one that it's going across, that this x-intercept here will be at 10 and 0. If you're unsure of that, you can always work out what the x-intercept is going to be by making y equal to 0 and substituting that into our equation. So our equation is y is equal to negative x plus 10, or 0 is equal to negative x plus 10. Take away 10 from both sides, so we have negative 10 equals negative x. Multiply both sides by negative 1, gives us 10 is equal to x. And that's the coordinate that we had over there. So that's the graph. The next graph that we're going to sketch is a graph of y is equal to negative 3. Now, these ones seem like strange equations to sketch graphs of, but no matter what the x value is with this, y will equal negative 3. So it's just going to be a horizontal line that passes through at 0 and negative 3. That's all that one's going to look like. And the fourth one of those graphs that we're going to sketch now is x is equal to 5. A little bit like the y graph, where easy graph to draw. We'll draw our axes, x and y. No matter what happens with this, x will be equal to positive 5. So it's just going to look like that, and it will pass through at 5, 0. So when x is 5, y will be 2, or y will be anything. X equal to 5 is what it is, so straight up and down, vertical line on x equals 5. Next question we have is to find the magnitude of the angle that the line with the equation y equals negative 2x plus 4 makes with the positive direction of the x-axis. Now, when we do these, we have the little rule m is equal to tan theta, and we have our gradient here is negative 2, so we have negative 2 is equal to tan theta. So we'll rearrange this to find theta is equal to tan of negative 2. Punch that into the calculator and you'll end up with negative 63.43 degrees. Now what's happening with this one here is the line is a gradient of negative 2, so it's coming down like that. What we've done here is we've found this angle below the x-axis, and what we want to do is we want to find the angle which is above the x-axis. So what we need to do is we'll add our previous answer to 180. So 180, adding a negative number, you're just taking it away. Take away 63.43 equals 116.57 degrees. So that there is the angle on the positive side between the line and the positive direction of the x-axis. If we had have done the calculation in the first instance and this one here was positive, we could have just left it as it is because it would have given us the one which is above. If you end up with a negative answer, that's found the one which is below the x-axis, and we then have to take that value away, the magnitude of that value away from 180. Next question we have, multi-part question this one. The weekly wage of a salesman consists of a fixed component of $200 and a $10 commission for each item he sells. If he sells N items in a week, find a rule for his wage W in terms of N. So what we need to do with this one is his wage is going to be W is equal to He gets $10 per item, so it's 10 N, and then he has a fixed amount of $200, which he gets no matter what. So he could sell no items, he still gets his $200, and he could sell 200 items. We then multiply it by 10, add another 200 to get his wage. So that's the equation for that. So to find his wage, if he sells 30 units, what we need to do is we substitute N is equal to 30. So W would be equal to 10 times 30 plus 200. All that's doing is it's taking this 30 units and substituting them into N. So it'll be 300 plus 200, which will be equal to $500. And the next part is how many does he sell if his wage is 550. So here we set W equal to 550. And we use the equation from the first part. So 550 is equal to 10 N plus 200. We'll take away 200 from both sides, so 350 is equal to 10 N. Then we divide both sides by 10, which will give us N is equal to 35. So this would be 35 items sold. That's that question there. Now this is question 6. Again, it's another multi-part question. Water flows into a tank at a rate of 20 litres per minute. Initially the tank contains 150 litres. Write an expression for volume V, litres of water in the tank after T minutes. So we have volume will be equal to, it has a standard amount of 150 litres it starts off with, and then we add 20 litres per minute. So you could write that as 20T plus 150, or you could write it as 150 plus 20T. Doesn't matter, same thing. Now, next part is how many litres are in the tank after an hour. So after an hour, that tells us that T, because T has to be in minutes, will be 60. So V will equal 150 plus 20 times 60 equals 150 plus 1200, which will equal 1,350 litres. For the third part of this, if the tank has a capacity of 3,000 litres, how long does it take to fill? So this is putting V equal to 3,000 and finding the value of T. So 3,000 will be equal to 150 plus 20T. We'll take away 150 from both sides, so that'll be 2,850 equals 20T. Divide both sides by 20 and we end up with 142.5. So the time, it'll be full, I should say, after 142.5 minutes. Now be aware, the question could ask you how many hours or time in hours, so then you would have to convert that to hours. So just be aware of the units that the question is asking you to answer that. The last question for this section, the tank contains 50,000 litres of water. Water flows out at a rate of 40 litres per minute. So to write an expression for the volume V litres after time t minutes, V will be equal to, we start off with 50,000. Because water's flowing out, it's going to be take away 40 T. It's 40 litres per minute that it flows out at. So how many litres are in the tank after an hour? So T will be equal to an hour or 60 minutes. So we substitute T equals 60 into there. So V will equal 50,000. Take away 40 times by 60. And that will be equal to 47,600, I should say, litres. And for the third one, how long does it take for the tank to empty? This will be looking for when does V equals 0. So again, we'll substitute V equals 0 into our equation. So we have 0 equals 50,000. Take away 40T. What I'm going to do is I'll add 40T to both sides here. That's just going to shift the 40T to the other side, so we end up with positive 40T equals 50,000. And then we're going to divide both sides by 40, which will give us T is equal to 1,250 minutes. That's that one done.